Yo! Video games. What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt,
and I'm Andrew.
I almost said you're Andrew for you, which is weird because I've never really done that, so I don't know why my brain immediately started to do that. But yes,
it's okay. I'm okay with it. Yeah, makes me sound important.
It's really important. But anyways, thank you to all our generous patrons who've kept us going for nearly 500 episodes.
Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Fettuccine.
Thank you, Fettuccine.
It's delicious. It's a delicious name. You're named after the most delicious pasta. Well, I don't know, tortellini or fettuccine, which is the more delicious?
Tortellini's good.
I don't know if so good.
I don't know if I've had fettuccine actually.
Italian dumplings.
Maybe I'll go try a way to find some fettuccine soon. But yeah, tortellini's great.
So I don't know if your name is a play on fettuccine, the pasta, or if your name is actually fettuccine, like your last name, which is also kind of cool. But yeah, let me know. It's a great name. Thank you for being a dude. We had the Ghost of Yotei direct. It's not a direct. State of Play.
State of Play. Whatever. Yes, with the state.
They're all directs.
And some of them just call themselves like, yeah, we're a direct, and then some of them try to be like, oh, we have a presentation, a showcase, and I always find it funny when like this. Some of the people are like, yeah, it's a direct.
Well, yeah, did Nintendo copyright the name direct?
No, I don't think so. It was a Waters thing. He's like, directly to you. Yeah, so, which by the way, 10-year anniversary on my birthday of him dying.
Ooh.
So,
ouch. Or congratulations. I'm not sure what the sentiment is here.
I don't know. Like, there's a lot to be said, and frankly, like, if I'm being quite honest with you, it was really not even eye-opening, but more just sort of like annoyingly predictably heartbreaking to see, like, okay, we do a roasting episode, not a roasting episode, but like we do a ragey baity, not even a rage baity, because we were being honest.
Yeah,
we do a video talking negatively about something. We get, people just flock to it. So I was like, I saw that last time, and I was like, of course. So I always, now don't get me wrong. For all the dudes who've listened to us, which means you're listening now, awesome. Thank you for being here. But like, I felt like we had some really cool, weird subject episodes in the past, and I was really upset that like some people, they didn't get as many views as dumping on Xbox, where it's like, yes, I could dump on people all day, every week.
Yeah, because we're German. Wait,
it's easy to do. But I'm like, all right, like, for those the real ones listening right now, thank you for being here, for sticking around all our cool, interesting episodes, not just not just our fuck Phil episodes.
If you we've been trying to get more devs. Been trying to do developers. That's the ones I want feedback on. But anyway, this episode is it's not really rage baity. It's mostly just kind of what do people want? Like, the response to the Ghost of Yotei showcase, the plenty of positive response.
Mostly not like positive, and I'm mostly positive on it too.
I know I'm going to play it, so I don't know. It looks like more of the same, which is fine.
It is.
Am I amped? Part of me is amped because I've met Erica Ishii. She's a great actor. It's going to be sort of fun kicking ass playing as someone that you have met a few times. Like, I wouldn't say that we're acquaintances, I guess. Knowing kind of her demeanor in real life, and then getting to play a vicious revenge tale as this tiny, cool lady that you've met a few times. Like, that's sort of fun. But otherwise, like, the story's a revenge tale. I don't know. It doesn't need to be.
Yeah, there was some. I mean,
it doesn't need to be groundbreaking.
And then here's the, I'm gonna avoid straight up. I'm just gonna avoid talking about anything regarding in general chuddery about that. We're just not gonna even address that. We're gonna be talking strictly more about like the And some of the chuttery has tried to argue that's a story thing, but we're going to be arguing a little bit where this game does look like more Ghost, right? It does, but
Mhm.
it is unique in a sense where it's not continuing the story of the last game. And we saw this whole last
Right.
console generation with the biggest games, and I'm just going to list them off where they got sequels and they were probably by every measure better games, like objectionably better games in their sequels. But they didn't hit as hard. They maybe didn't sell as well, quite as well. They all sold well, but maybe didn't quite sell as well. And they just didn't last in the public conversation nearly as long. And
Except The
I'm
Last of Us 2.
yeah, well, there's Last of Us 2, but more specifically, you've got Spider-Man 2, you've got Horizon 2, Forbidden West, you've got God of War Ragnarok, and you've got Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Right.
Like especially where big games sold 10 million more than 10 million copies each. They had sequels. The sequels are well received. They are good games, and in many ways are objectively better games in their
Yeah.
sequels. They are just better games overall. But
Fell
they
off
don't
fast. Yeah.
they fell off fast. They don't hit as hard, maybe they don't quite hit as many sales. And there's multiple factors that go into it. And I think one of the things that is kind of a reason, if you will, for specifically Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon, and Zelda, is you are just kind of doing the continued adventures of Link, Aloy, more Kratos. Although they did try to little spice it up a little more, like older Atreus, um, and more Peter Parker, Miles Morales. So it's like you're you're not you're not witnessing the origin of those characters anymore. Now it's a little different because like Peter Parker, Miles Morales, Link, they're established characters, but these were like new, fresh takes on them. Like
Right.
for all intents and purposes, like Breath of the Wild and the original Sony Spider-Man were like the more or less origin stories of those versions of those characters. So the hats, the rabbits kind of come out of the hat. And it's not this like, oh, you no longer have this oh shit moment. Did you see what they're doing with that new God of War, that new Spider-Man? Did you see that fucking robot dinosaur game?
Yeah.
Like
Well, okay. So my rule for sequels is there has to be a reason for the sequel beyond recognizability of characters. Like for a sequel to stand out and be good, there has to be a reason beyond it. And generally speaking, if you told the story good in the first one, that story's done.
yeah.
Move on. So Ghost, okay, Jin's story, yeah, okay. Could you have done more with him? Yeah, he's not an old man or anything. You could have,
There was such a weird layup because again, I've told this before. I was so convinced part two was going to be the second Mongol invasion. There was a second Mongolian invasion of Japan 7 years later,
yeah,
and it
and it,
ended in a freaking tsunami.
yeah,
And I was like, well, there we go. That just you have your sequel storyline, you have your sequel ending sequence just written out for you in the pages of history. They didn't do it.
um, and honestly, I'm fine with that. The thing is like if they would have announced it as a continuation of Jin's story, it's not like I'd be upset.
No, yeah.
I'm just saying, like I'm not upset. I am more excited by having a new character, new story than I am by having a sequel most times. It's one of the reasons why I advocate for The Last of Us 2 being good is Joel's story was done. It is okay that he dies.
Yeah, I mean,
It is
if
more
any,
impactful that he dies.
it would almost. I said even when they were doing the sequel, I was like, man, they should just pick some other person in a different part of the world. They kind of halfway did, but it's just like, yeah, like no, Joel. It's like his story's done, dude.
Yeah, like he's had his whole journey. Like his journey's done.
And here's the other thing with Ghost in particular, which I think why this kind of works more to do what they're doing. Um, Tsushima Island, top to bottom, north to south, east to west, and Iki Island in the DLC, they were explored. They showed you the whole island. Now, granted, it's this video game version of it, but like they took the general outline of Tsushima Island, um, and they modeled the whole game map around that. So you have been to all of Tsushima Island.
Right.
So if you did a Ghost of Tsushima 2, all you would be doing would be taking that same island, that same map, and then just sort of rearranging it for 7 years later. And that's just not as interesting as saying, okay, let's go to Hokkaido 300 years later. Because Ghost in particular, what is when you think of that game, I guess it's a franchise now, it's a series. What is kind of like the defining thing of the Ghost series to you?
I mean, narratively, it's the argument between like practicality and honor.
Hmm.
You know, that is sort of the whole point of the narrative, right? The choice. The weird thing is like it is Assassin's Creed, right? a little
Yeah,
bit,
more
a
or
little
less.
bit, but because it has that honor versus practicality debate, it feels more unique or fresh
Mm.
than any of the
From a
even.
gameplay point, though, I would argue Ghost is sort of like running through this highly romanticized countryside of Japan.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
just sweeping beautiful vistas, like sweeping beautiful, gorgeous Japanese countryside vistas. And I think a big part of that is discovery, like coming across something for the first time, going, "Holy shit, that's so beautiful! Whoa!" You don't want a game sequel to be like, "Oh, something's happening at a particular shrine, in the Golden Leaf Forest in the first game," and it's like, "I know where that is. I'll just go right over there and expect to see a bunch of golden leafed trees everywhere." And it's like, there's no excitement. This happened in Tears of the Kingdom, where it was like,
Right.
"Oh, you gotta go. What's going on with the Gerudos?" Well, I know where that is.
It's
Like,
it's the same map, the same world, and there's no discovery.
yeah, like chasing the
Yeah.
birds and the foxes. Like, oh, they're distracting you. Oh, go follow them around here. Go follow them around. That's gone if you do the same. If you do the same area, that
Well, they could put the foxes or the birds in new spots, I
new
suppose,
spots,
but
but like you kind of know where you're going. You have a general idea, and I think the discovery is so vitally important to the franchise that I think if they ever did do a direct sequel, that would actually be more of a panic button, because I do think that the second Mongolian invasion is 100% being saved for a, oh, let's say Yotei fizzles out and bombs. It won't, but let's say, like, it didn't hit its mark or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, what do we do? We'll return to Jin Sakai, character, blah 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 blah.
I
It,
would
it's
hate that.
their it's their Final Fantasy VII remake, panic button moment where they're like, okay, return here in case franchise needs to, like, we need to, like, boost the numbers again of the franchise or whatever.
I would hate that so much. One of the things that I also love about this time jump, like of them jumping 300 years, is the technology, the way the technology has changed.
Yeah, well,
Like,
you got rifles now.
yeah, like you'll get to see like actual change in tactics. Although it looks like a lot of the combat is mostly the same. There's new weapons and stuff like that, but like um you know, that is one of the coolest ways that like say samurai armor changed
Hmm.
in time, because Japan changed very slowly for a long period of time and then all of a sudden changed very quickly.
Well, there was, from what I understand, a lot of it had to do with, like, oh shit, our armor isn't actually protecting us from.
Right? So they had metal breastplates all of a sudden, and yeah, very cool. It also changed tactics entirely. Um, I don't know. I think they are also appropriately changing the style of the game. Like going from a Kurosawa film, sweeping vistas and beautiful shots, to a Leone film.
Mhm.
Sergio Leone film, where it's going to be like snappy and by comparison, um, you know, poppy, if that makes sense. Like Sergio Leone films, spaghetti westerns in general, had like that snappy
Well, I think there's also,
um,
like, there's build
Italian
up.
new wave,
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's like a lot of, like, tension building.
right?
In
Revenge
the
tale.
Well, I mean, just in his cinematography and action sequences, a lot of that is tension building, right? And they never name drop Sergio Leone. They talk about the other modes that they have in the game, but I still feel like this is going to come out eventually. because even in the cutscenes and like the little bits of gameplay we saw, I'm already seeing like sort of tension. Like when she walks into that onsen, or not onsen, or like just like I don't know what you call it, just like the bar, if you will. And there's already sort of like this building tension of like stranger walks into saloon, a lot of people
But
looking
that's
over their
also
shoulder
a
kind of thing.
Kurosawa did shit like that too, so they might still be sticking with Kurosawa.
I mean, they still have Kurosawa mode, obviously. I, I feel bad because like I played No More Heroes 3, and I heard like, all the like intermission cutscenes, they kept talking about Travis talking to his friend about Takeshi Mike, or Takeshi Miike, or Takeshi Mike, and this filmmaker. And I was like, what is this thing? And I was like, it's a real filmmaker, so he gets a mode. The mud and blood mode, as we've all taken to calling it, because like, yeah, his mode is like the camera's more close up, it's more like God of War style camera for combat, and there's way more blood and mud effects going on.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was like, what has this guy done? Like, I feel like so noobish, like not being familiar with this person's work at all.
Yeah,
um
I don't recognize. It's Takeshi
Takeshi
Miike.
Miike. Well, Miike was two eyes.
Yeah,
um
Miike.
Best known films are Audition,
Oh yeah.
Itchy the Killer, Visitor Q, Dead or Alive, the Japanese one, One
13
Missed Call.
Assassins. Ichi the Killer is well known.
Yeah,
Blade of the Immortal, most recently, I think. Yeah. Okay. Ichi the Killer is one that I saw in film school. It has some pretty great visuals.
there you go. And then of course we have a Watanabe mode strictly because of Samurai Champloo.
Oh
So
yeah.
I don't think,
I
which is funny because
run to that soundtrack.
Champloo.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I am hoping Watanabe mode is not the only mode where they play music continuously throughout the game, because I don't think the lo-fi beats, to me, I'm like, oh, how does this, does this go good with the game? No. But
Well,
it's
I
just
mean, if you get into a fight and it goes from lo-fi to, more up
I'm
tempo.
sure we'll see something here, because they're dedicating a whole production, or a whole wing of their production, to making Watanabe mode. So I'm like,
I'm not mad at
cool.
that.
Cool. Like, someone was really mad. There was an article. Where did it come from? Like Kotaku, or somewhere, I forget. Oh god, I can't remember. It wasn't Kotaku. I think it was someone else. Was saying about how like with a whole article from a video game journalist news outlet, whining about the inclusion of Watanabe mode. Which I was like,
What?
but what? But like, but why? Who cares? Like what?
It wasn't IGN that then followed it up with the best PS5 games and included a bunch of PS4 games on there, right?
Oh, it was Eurogamer. I'm sorry.
Eurogamer.
Um,
How dare they? Where's
like they.
Eurogamer based? We have to shame their country. I was saying, this is total aside, but I was saying to Elise, I was like, I don't understand why Americans online haven't figured out not to engage with Europeans and like in just like bitching each other out, because Europeans, their countries are so close together. They have been sort of like shit talking each other for hundreds of years. You're not going to win. And they don't care if you make a good point. Nobody cares if you have like a point. They're just going to keep trash talking you. They're too close. There's too many countries right next to each other. They're just better at it. Let them have this. So we have to shame the exact country. Where's Eurogamer based?
I'm not sure, honestly.
They're in England.
Probably England. Yeah.
Yeah, Brighton, England. Shame. Shame that they. The weird thing about the UK is the UK will sometimes go out of their way to say they aren't European, that they are separate from Europe.
Yeah, Brexit.
But then they're over here being like, "Oh yeah, Eurogamers based in Brighton, England. How dare you? Shame." I don't have any
and I guess moving to sort of the whole like, oh, it's a revenge tale that's so boring, and I'm just kind of like, it's a video game. What do you want? like
But
it's
revenge tales are one of the least boring action
But it's also it's an open world action game. What were you expecting? Some like Leo Tolstoy like dissertation of War and Peace on Hokkaido or whatever? Like,
Actually, though, you know what would have been cool is if it wasn't an action game this time, it was like investigation, and then you
mm.
like assassinate like a more interesting hitman.
Well, and people are upset that it's actually free form. Like you're free to assassinate the Yotei 6 however you want. Um,
Rather than mission based.
yeah, rather than linearity. Like
Huh.
how you handle, because like the whole thing is like, yeah, you've returned to Hokkaido 16 years later after they pinned you to a tree with a sword and left you to die and burn up and die. Um,
God, that's hard.
and the whole thing is like, oh well, like it's just like this open world, like it's gonna have like this sort of like openness, like nothing's gonna feel like it has any like weight or da da da. I'm like, what? Like what do you
Same problem
want?
that
Like,
open world games always have, but you didn't have that complaint before.
well, here's the thing: if you do an open world game, if you're like, we have a true open world game, and you know where someone is,
Go kill 'em.
go kill 'em. Like the whole
Yeah.
idea that like you're being stopped from progressing like the main story, oh well, you can't kill this character because like he physically isn't rendered into the game world until you've
Yeah.
killed these other
Yeah.
characters. um that almost feels like that feels cheaper to me, to have the freedom that they're trying to provide, but then like do all these like video gamey things to like, well, this character doesn't really exist at this time.
Actually, though, in Breath of the Wild, you could just go kill Ganon, right?
You could.
Beautiful. Amazing.
I mean, if anything, it was one of the coolest things about that game was just like, yeah, you want to just go run after him naked? Sure.
Uh, I don't know why I missed that part of the showcase, but that is the most interesting thing to me is like you could
No, that
just
wasn't in
whatever.
that part isn't in this. Well, it was they briefly talk about it, but it was, I guess, more explicitly described in the blog or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, they briefly talk about how like, yeah, you're they said like in the safe way, they're like, we don't handhold you, we don't we don't railroad you, we're not pushing you in any direction, you kind of go at your own pace. That's what they said in the trailer, and it was like, I guess it's more like, yes, you go and tackle these things in at your pace and your order and whatever.
In some ways, I am getting tired of the open world, like a good linear curated
Yeah.
game. It might just be I'm getting old, or maybe I'm just over the
Well, there
trend,
was there was a weird thing in the first game. Remember how Tsushima was broken into thirds and you could only
right? And you could
go
only go to
around,
certain, yeah.
which makes me wonder if they're going to do something like that with Yotei. Are they going to chunk like thirds of the map off until you've done such a thing at a certain time or whatever? It's interesting. We don't really know.
That seems to go against the idea of like you can do any of the Yotei 6 then.
Yeah.
It would be a way of if it's done organically, that doesn't bother me, but whenever there's just like we're an open world, but also there's a barrier you can't go past.
Well, see, what I'm wondering about, as you saw in
I
the
don't
thing,
love
was
that.
like where you go and you kill someone or you save someone or whatever, and they give you info, and then you choose what info to pull from them, right?
Hmm.
Um, I am curious because I'm guessing the idea is like to find the Yote 6, you have to go hunt bounties, go do these other quests, which will then people will give you nuggets of information. They sort of like chain the missions together. That's how you discover. Does
Right.
that now the question I have is, does that mean you have to piece clues together before the Yote 6 member will literally be in the game world?
Or can you stumble upon them and
Exactly. Or
hmm.
or on a second playthrough, could you just be like, I know he's over here. I know he's hanging out in this camp, well, like on top of this hill, and you just go straight to that camp and get into a fight with them.
Speedrunners are gonna love this.
It could be a speed run. Like it could potentially be something like really cool speed run wise. I would be intrigued to see if they full commit to the idea of, no, they're hanging out, they're chilling in some specific place. It's just that most players first time through, they're gonna like have to piece together information unless they accidentally just stumble upon them, climbing up somewhere, some hill somewhere or whatever.
Yeah, that'll be. It almost seems like it's a way of encouraging people to explore again.
Right, because I think they're also saying like, yeah, you're going to learn moves, you're going to do, you're going to learn weapon sets
Right.
and stuff from going after, and maybe it's going to be a thing where like six or four, I'm sorry, four of the Yotei six will be you can go after them in any order, but like the remaining two are
More
technically,
cinematic and
yeah, gate locked after you've killed the first Yotei six. I could see them doing that, doing like a sort of half and half thing, especially if like weapon styles are tied to the Yotei six. You know what I mean? Where
right.
you don't know how to use spears or the other stuff until you kill the member of the Yotei six who does that or something.
And
That's
then
like,
you can use the spear. Yeah, that could be interesting. I'm I'm curious now since we've talked about it is like if this does well, it should do well. And it is good. I'm hoping it's good. Is this going to start a trend of where it's always a new character? Cuz I find that way more interesting than if
yeah,
this time they're going to do another if they do a sequel with the same character. Again, you know, Erica great actor, but I hope this character's done. If
yeah.
that
Well, you would hope that they get a full complete story.
Right, yeah,
I
don't
think is
don't
what you're
like cut
saying.
it halfway through. Like finish the
Yeah.
story and then move to another character at a different point of time. Like I would almost really appreciate jumping around Japan's history
Hmm.
and using new settings.
Frankly, I don't even think they need to stick to Japan.
Really?
I think they could do ghosts of other anywhere else in the world, really.
Uh,
If they really, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, right now we're kind of like Ghost is a Japanese historical drama, right? Like right now we've been to Tsushima, we're doing Yotei. Right now it's kind of like it's Japan, and if they want to stick to Japan for a while, but I'm just saying like if they wanted to go to, a ghost of whatever other country, island, nation, part of the world. That's, I mean, Japan was always kind of like, like explored in depth because of the game industry being what it is. But again, I'm just still thinking of like, um,
I mean, there's whole sections of Japan and Japanese history that's never even been looked at by game developers. You know,
yeah,
just because one of the um, one of the most interesting aspects of Japanese culture that doesn't really get explored that much, or at least that I haven't seen. I mean, obviously, I'm not Japanese. This could be explored to death. Is like the Ainu,
yes, yeah.
like and the clashes between Japanese culture and Ainu culture over time, which could be involved in this game. As far as we know, I don't know. Um, but there's lots of periods that have sort of the same way that we made loads of cowboy shit and cowboy culture lasted 30 years. It's like
Yeah.
1880 to like
Yeah, yeah,
1910
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah. And it lasted 30 years in real life and lasted like 80 years in cinema.
right. I mean, I guess cowboys were sort of around starting in 1860
Yeah.
cuz there was that cowboy lifestyle, but really the period that everybody points to is like it seems like it's in that like late 1880s time period where like the cowboys are out running the industrialized nation. We're men on the edge. We still
I'm
live the
just
old way.
look, I'm just saying that
We
if
eat
you
beans.
well, cowboy thing is also kind of fascinating because like when you Red Dead 2 actually was interesting because it's an 1899 game, so it's also
Mhm.
at the end of it, but it really showed how there was a lot of what we would consider Western like lifestyle in the East, in the
Oh yeah,
Southeast.
yeah, yeah.
So a lot of what you think is like this old West thing, it's like not as much. Like
Well, the
they're
Wild West was like Missouri.
right. That's kind of what I'm getting at here is like when people think about the cowboys and the farmers and the ranchers, like people didn't ranch a lot in Arizona. you know, you couldn't farm there, you couldn't ranch there much. most people went out looking for mines, and they would, like, that's where you had like these ghost towns, these boom towns, for silver mining and gold mining and whatever. Because
Yeah.
frankly, even the shit state of Texas, like, was a piss poor climate to actually try to farm stuff in. Like, Texas was mostly for ranchers because you could move,
Cattle and
cattle and stuff. But like, when you're talking about like farming and doing a lot of other stuff, you're talking about like Missouri, you know.
yeah, and the reason why all of our cowboy stories and westerns take place in the desert is because that's where it was like cheap to shoot the movies. That's it.
Yeah, like the
They could build an
towns,
entire town out there for dirt cheap, and
like towns that succeeded usually for reasons unrelated, usually unrelated to ranching or farming. Maybe ranching a little bit. Ranching, I'm kind of getting throwing under the bus a little bit, but farming and gold towns, or you know mining, didn't last very long. If those towns usually went bust pretty quick. If a town succeeded, it succeeded for completely other reasons.
well, yeah,
Um,
isn't like Denver is a miracle story because Denver was a silver mining town, and then
yeah,
it died for a while, and then it came back just by nature of where it was located. It came back as like a waypoint between the far
yeah,
west and
for the, I believe, the Pacific, the Golden Pacific Railroad, or whatever they called it, Trans-Pacific Railroad or whatever.
and here's a fun little fact, and you can Google this and argue with me if you want. Uh, do you know what the most important city in the country would be if they got rid of the Jones Act? St.
And
Louis.
right now,
St. Louis, Missouri sits at the nexus of the two biggest
well,
rivers in the middle of the
it's on the delta of
it's
Mississippi or
not even on
Missouri River.
it is on both. It sits at the cross point of the
Cross point
Missouri and
of
the
both,
Mississippi.
right.
It is the single most powerful and important city in the United States based on geography alone. Like it would be. It is dead purely because well, it's not dead, but it is forgotten in a way purely because we basically made shipping along the Missouri and the Mississippi. We killed that industry.
We kill Well, a lot of people don't know this just in general. I'm like, I don't know if you realize how vitally important the Missouri and Mississippi River were to
Yeah.
trade and industry for much of the country's history.
The trains were the beginning of killing river shipping
Right. And
because
and
it was
that's
cheaper than shipping by train.
and it's
And
also
now
why
the trucking
train
industry.
it's why the train industry was so cutthroat. There were
Yeah.
monopolies, there was real backstabbing, like people getting killed kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Um it's like people like being killed for like whistleblowing. This is why they basically did what is more or less slave labor, from Chinese immigrants on the west, side of
Isn't
the
that the
Pacific
basis
Railroad.
of whistleblowing as a term? It's like they blew the whistle on train
Probably,
corruption.
probably because it was a train industry corruption was enormous.
Yeah, oh yeah, it
Like,
was amazing.
it's like amazingly bad, but
Uh but yeah, it's always this weird little like if they got rid of the Jones Act, we would suddenly be allowed to ship on the Mississippi and the Missouri again. And all of a sudden trains and shipping by river would be way cheaper than trucking. And so
mm.
the trucking industry lobbies against getting rid of the Jones Act super heavily.
Again, these are fascinating to me. It's like there's fascinating things about this, but like, okay, like, if they did
Ghost of Missouri.
if they did Ghost of I don't know how to pronounce this, Ghost of Huyana, or or more simply Machu Picchu.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, Ghost of Machu, or Ghost of Machu Picchu, if you just want to do the full thing. And you had something that was about like the Incan Empire, and
Would
you
be
had
interesting.
and you had all of Chile, Peru, Ecuador to run around in, like ancient but civilized, when that was a huge empire down there, like pre Spanish fuckery. Um, like, could be potentially really fascinating. Um, I don't know. I'm always just thinking like Mesoamerica never gets its flowers. Um,
Yeah, it does. It does get left behind. One of my favorite weird. Well, it's not weird. It's just an argument that happens every certain amount of time online. Is when two different types of history nerd meet each other and they just can't like they want to come to blows over it. It's like the history nerds that obsess with and idolize pre-Spanish Mesoamerican societies because they were advanced, they were every bit as impressive as European societies in terms of for their time.
yeah,
And then the European uh, history nerd that thinks Europe civilized the entire world, period. And they
right.
get into these weird arguments where they're both wrong and right at the same time. And you never get into those arguments. You just laugh at them and watch them and go read a wiki article or a book about the real issues. But my favorite one recently is like someone arguing with like the Aztec university system was highly advanced and everybody had access. Everybody in the Aztec Empire had access to free education. Um, and it's
Mm.
like, and the Spanish came and ruined that. And it's like, well, how come so many people helped the Spanish ruin the Aztec Empire? Because it was known as a bloodthirsty and corrupt empire. Like, why was, oh, no, we want to talk about the universities. Okay. Not to say the Spanish were the good guys. It's just like nobody's a good guy in history. History is just a record of assholes. Like maybe in the very beginning, go back to the earliest history, you'll find like a truly good civilization that did no evil. And that's
Nah.
why they're not there anymore. It's like Neanderthals were wiped out by humans. That's the beginning. Were Neanderthals assholes? Probably. But humans were the bigger assholes. So we wiped them out. It's just all of history past then is just revenge tales, basically.
I mean, really, you could we had the Mongolians. You could do. I don't know. See, this thing is, I don't. Do we live in a world where we could do a revenge tale or like, because in Ghost of Tsushima, the Mongolian invaders get repelled and they come back and they
Mhm.
get repelled again. If you did one that was like about the Incan Empire, like S- Spanish conquistadors technically won, or smallpox won, depending on how you want to look at it. Um,
Yeah.
but like you could do something like right after like the fall of say um the empire from the Spanish, and you're the ghost of this, and you're like slowly systematically like taking out
Well,
all these conquistadors. I don't know how people would feel about that, but if you're just going around just slaughtering Europeans like
I,
crazy. But
it feels like it would do well, but also you'd have to kill a whole lot of indigenous people too.
I think Eurogamer would be really upset with that one.
Specifically the lads in Brighton, England. Um, because again, it wasn't just like 200 conquistadors overthrew the Incan Empire or the Aztec Empire. It was like they raised a guerrilla army from the pissed off people at the bottom of the empire
Right.
and were worshipped like gods because arrows didn't pierce their breastplates and other some such fuckery that they conned their way into. But again, it wasn't just like half a dozen dudes and because of
Right.
technology they overthrew a powerful empire. Like it was a massive amount, it was a groundswell of disaffected youths. How it always is when the fall of empires happen. Fall of Roman Empire wasn't just like half a dozen Visigoths.
Right.
It was like hundreds of thousands of people, and Visigoths were the biggest group, but like it was a lot of people pissed at the Roman Empire.
Yeah, there definitely just kind of feels like, I mean, you wouldn't want to do that. I feel like shit, Assassin's Creed and a lot of other games have definitely covered something like, say, anywhere in Central Europe pretty well. Um,
I would do a Ghost of Rome, a Visigoth,
mm.
helping slaughter a bunch of key individuals that makes Rome's defense fall so that King Alaric can get in there and Vey Victus his ass around. Is King Alaric is the head of the Visigoths, right?
Well,
Why do I know this?
that would be a really
He was
weird,
the first king of the Visigoths.
I guess not weird, but just sort of like nobody really talks about the fall of Rome that much.
Because the Byzantine Empire was also Rome. We called them the Byzantines, but they called themselves Roman. And they went until 1400.
Yeah.
And were conquered by the Ottoman Empire.
The Ottomans.
Dang. They were also raided by Crusaders. The first or second Crusaders, they came back pissed that they didn't get enough booty, and they sacked Byzantium.
Oh my god, if they really wanted to, I would love it. The Ghost of Petra.
Okay.
Because Petra being that sort of like really advanced city civilization, and it was actually hidden by like a secret group of people, like keeping it hidden from the world under under perjury of death kind of thing for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Petra, the city built into the cliffside.
Yeah.
Well,
it'd be you if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, you've probably seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which
yes.
The ending of that movie famously takes place at a building in Petra, which is a big temple in the movie, and in reality was probably just a market.
It was a bank.
It was a bank or a market, or like
it was a bank, and it was built there to prevent flooding, because flooding was a big thing. The god of storms and flooding, later on got named Yahweh, had a war cult that everyone didn't like in that area. Anyway.
Petra's really cool. They actually had jacuzzis in ancient pre, like we're talking like thousands of years ago, maybe hundreds, but like.
So the ghost of Petra's gonna garrote somebody in a jacuzzi. You're gonna John Wick them in the club scene in John Wick, but it's in Petra.
It's in Petra. The funny thing about it is that it basically was Vegas, as I've come to learn.
So there were Russians there, is what you're saying?
Oh, probably, yeah.
It's just a Russian mobster in Petra, and the ghost of Petra just cleaning the house. Hell yeah! Okay, I'm in. I'm sold. I have mixed feelings about moving away from Japan for the series, because then it just feels like it is truly a rip on Assassin's Creed. And
that's also the other, I think it's probably something they definitely considered, where
like clearly Assassin's Creed pivoted towards Japan finally because Ghost of Tsushima did so well.
Yeah, because they avoided it for so long, and it almost felt like Ubisoft didn't want to do it because it's what everyone expected them to do. And it kind of, maybe there was a feeling of like, I'm just doing this because people won't shut up about it. I'm being like forced into it. I'm being like, I'm being your, your dolphin or your seal at SeaWorld. Like, all right, fine, we'll do Japan because you just you expect and want me to do Japan.
Well, they did Japan because Ghost of Tsushima made so much money. They were like, oh, I guess it is a good idea.
And I think what happened was Ghost of Tsushima came out and everyone was like, hey, it's like Assassin's Creed, but it's fun again. And Ubisoft was like, damn it.
You know that there was a very angry Frenchman screaming about why haven't we done this, and he was the reason that they had never done it. Nobody cares about Japan. We're French.
That's probably Yves Guillemot, probably. But no, yeah, you're right. I think you do run into that sort of. There's that. Okay, if you start going elsewhere in the world for Ghost games, are you really truly just first party Assassin's Creed at that point?
Which, I mean, I guess if they're going to lean into it, they could lean into it. I wouldn't be mad if they chose obscure historical events to base it in.
Yeah.
Because Assassin's Creed picks pretty
significant parts, yeah.
Significant points in history, and also like it's not fair to say run of the mill, but like run of the mill moments. Like, of course, when they finally went to Japan, they were going to pick the warring period. Like, of course, Nobunaga is is a major character. Like, of course they're going to do that, right? Picking, when they go like Ghost of Tsushima, like, yes, it's a major historical event, but also it's not one that necessarily has been, explored to death in movies and games and manga, and like, at least not for Western audiences.
Yeah.
If they did that for other, like if they chose moments in history that, still significant, but also just like haven't been mined to death. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be down with that. Also, just because if they kept it grounded in a historical drama rather than like, and there's aliens, guys. Like, if they just don't do
Yeah.
it, it's just like, this is a character who lived at this time. You're using technology of the time. There is no, we're traveling back.
Abstergo or
Yeah,
asbestos,
there's
whatever.
none of that. None of that crap. I could be down with that. Again, a ghost of Rome, and
Do
it's
you
a
think?
Visigoth. Hell yeah.
Do you think Assassin's Creed, because they did do 3 games in a row with Ezio, because Ezio were
Because
like, oh, Ezio
it
took off
sold
on
really
Spain.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do like a bunch of games with Ezio. Do you think Assassin's Creed took off the way it did because it was doing the period jumps or the area jumps?
Yes. I think that the period jumps specifically helped it stay fresh because
Yeah.
it almost was like an anticipation of like, well, where are they going to choose next?
Hmm.
Um, I do think they made a mistake by they chose the right time in Italian history, right? It's
Yeah.
uh, to jump to, but I think jumping from the Crusades to Italy and staying in Europe for like a pretty solid amount of time.
Hmm.
I think that was kind of a mistake. But, like they could have stayed in the Crusades longer, especially since
Yeah.
that is the origin of assassins as a name and a term. Assassins guilds being a thing is rooted in the Crusades. So it's like they could have stayed there longer.
Yeah. They only recently went back, like, what, a couple of years ago?
Right. Well, for Mirage, right? It was Mirage,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and even then, I don't think they went back to the Crusades, right? They went to
No.
Babylon,
Yeah, I think they went earlier.
or they went to no, they went to yeah, they went earlier because it's Basm, or it's the same character that teaches you to be a assassin in the Viking one in
Mm.
Valhalla. Um, it's his story from before he went to England,
The 13th warrior, that shit.
sort of. It's because the 13th warrior, he goes among Vikings because he's been outlawed for boning the caliphate's one of his many wives, I think, or something like that. 13th Warrior is a fun movie. I don't know if I'd say it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. Um, but in this, it's like he's following the bad guys, the Templars or whatever, and he
Mm.
follows them to the edge of the world, and it's because Rome has fallen, the Templars are
Yeah.
gonna like thrive or something.
Huh.
I don't know. It is cool. He also turns out to be Loki.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he turns into one of the villains in the end or something like that. But yeah,
Ah,
Mirage is like the origin of that character. And I think it takes place in Baghdad.
I believe so, yes. I believe it's Baghdad. The once was the mathematical scientific center of the world, of the known world.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But kind of
Baghdad.
going back a little bit to the other games, where I think there's a real problem with something like, in particular, Spider-Man, right? Let's say they do a Spider-Man 3 they're going to do a Spider-Man 3, right?
Yeah, made a lot of
Right,
money.
well,
It's
you made a lot of money. You have a Venom, although Tony Todd sadly passed away. Um, do you do Spider-Man 3 in New York again and say,
well,
well,
where
there's
the hell
parts in
else are
the
you gonna do Spider-Man?
well, this is what I said. Spider-Man 2 should have been in Wakanda. He should have, whether it was Peter Parker and Miles, or just Peter, or whoever, it should have been taking place in Wakanda instead of Venom. It should have been Black Panther as like a third playable character, or a second.
Hmm.
Why? Because Wakanda gives you the freedom to design a city completely from scratch. Because you've done New York. Now, granted, you could do a bigger New York, a more detailed New York in 2, which is what they did. And you could do a bigger New York, more detailed New York in Spider-Man 3. But how interesting is it going to be to play another Spider-Man game in New York versus, let's say there was a reason, a good enough reason to be like, say, like he's in Wakanda, which is a fictional city, and it's going to have fictional technology, and it's going to,
Super advanced fictional city. Yeah.
And Peter or Miles, I don't care, you know, or Gwen even, are completely out of their element. They don't know the city. They're not even familiar with the tech. They don't even know the rogues gallery, you know, that's coming in, like maybe like Ulysses Claw or whatever. Like they're out of their element. And that's good because now you, the player, are out of your element.
And you get
Like
to learn and explore
like
and
you
yeah.
don't have to repeat anything. You don't, you know, there's no like, oh, I know, let me just swing over to Queens or whatever. Like, no, I'm in Wakanda. I don't know where anything is, you know, and like something's gone down. And it's like now
Okay.
it's like, okay, now I got to deal with a completely unknown city that doesn't have any real world connection.
Okay. Keep with me here. Same idea, fish out of water. You set it in Bakersfield. There's nothing for him to swing off of. So yes,
The crystallized cow farts in the air.
a whole rogues gallery. Meth is everywhere, and again, nothing tall. There's like occasional, like really tall radio towers and shit that he can swing and launch himself mad
Moo.
distances. But like mostly, he's walking around. Now that's how you reinvent Spider-Man.
That might be good for Ghost Rider though.
It would be messed up. No, I think Wakanda would be interesting. I guess I wonder how much pushback there would be for having Spider-Man leave New York.
I mean, you'd done one game already, and then you did the Miles Morales like in between game, and now we've done a trilogy at this point practically. Spider 1 and 2 and Miles Morales are all in New York.
Yeah, so you
Um,
need something fresh.
I feel like you know, Spider-Man 2 did sell well. Again, they sold well. They didn't sell as good as the first one, but you know, it still sold well. And I think part of the reason that a game like Spider-Man 2 and Horizon 2 don't sell as well as their first game. Yes, you can sit there and look at the user base. Well, there's a lot more PS4s out there than there are PS5s. I'm like, there's 60 million and counting PS5s out there. There's a lot of PS5s, a lot. Like there are there are 6 times as many PS5s out there as there are sold copies of Spider-Man 2. So clearly, it's not a supply issue. You
And
could
there's not a
even
lot of competition on the PS5 for truly
exactly.
interesting
You
games.
know, if anything, you could argue that, like, if anything, it's Spider-Man 2 didn't convince a lot of people to buy a PS5. They looked at them like, neat, whatever. I'll wait for PC version, or I'll
Get
just
it
wait till I'll
eventually.
get it eventually. Where I think you drive a little more FOMO in a game where you don't know, you're completely, you know, new to where the game's taking place.
It's the argument of more of the same versus same but different. Like enough to be familiar but different.
Yeah, because Zelda really, you know, Zelda to get Tears
Familiar,
of the Kingdom
fresh.
sold really well. Like we're talking 20 million copies, right?
Yeah.
But Breath of the Wild is strangely selling at pace and sometimes outselling Tears of the Kingdom now, even
Hmm.
now. One, you could argue because it's technically a little bit cheaper to play Breath of the Wild, and if you're jumping into it, you might as well just get Breath. Um, but there's still about a good third of the people that have bought in Breath of the Wild and still buying Breath of the Wild that are didn't jump into Tears of the Kingdom. And Tears of the Kingdom was insanely front loaded. Everything is every those 20 million, because it's at 20 something million sales, 20 million of those were in the first 2 months. And then it
Damn.
just plateaued, completely plateaued. And I think enough people saw it and went like, I already did this. I already saw this. Like it's the same map. Eh. I honestly do think Tears of the Kingdom being in the same Hyrule with more or less the same story, um, I do think it hurt it a little bit. I
I
do
could
think
see that.
you lost a few million sales by just being too familiar. People didn't need to suddenly buy a more expensive version of a Zelda game that they already owned.
Well, I do think this goes back to it to tie it up with the ghost, conversation. There is a subset of customer or player or whatever that is afraid of new. Like they
Mm.
like the familiar too much. They want more of the same thing forever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and it's definitely a balancing act, I guess.
but I tend to agree with you where I'm like I want that, I want that fresh, like, okay, I like the familiarity of like, okay, I understand the mechanics of playing as Spider-Man. The idea of like, and now we're going to go to this wild ass completely different city. Like that feels like fresh but familiar. Yeah, I could see that. I could see
Yeah,
that little twist.
I think it's a balancing act of like you don't want people to be lost into what they're doing. I mean, there are games where like God of War 2018 was a huge risk. It's still an action game though. It's still you're still Kratos. You're still swinging, swinging blades around.
And
Um,
it's familiar like in the character, but totally fresh in every other way.
exactly.
Um, yeah, with the sequel that comes out, they did do fresh mechanics. They did do fresh stuff. It's familiar enough,
Yeah,
but they did try new things. I'm not saying you got to reinvent every single time. I mean,
yeah,
and I'm also not saying that you can never do sequels. I just appreciate a sequel that tries something
yeah.
new,
And
that
and and and
evolves.
there's a lot of familiarity in Ghost of Yotei, but we did
Ton.
see some things that were kind of nice, which is one, they're dropping stances and replacing stances with different weapons. And one,
Fun. Yeah.
I think that visually makes it easier to understand too. Like, okay, when a big armored enemy is up there, you pull out the Odachi, the big two-handed weapon. It's no longer wait, which stance is good against big guys? No, it's the big weapon.
Right.
Like you visually know which thing to switch to.
There's
There's
like a
two
physical visual cue.
exactly, and I think that's actually better. And the other couple things I actually think are really nice is one, the enemies can change weapons. The enemies can have multiple weapons and they can change them. Like if you're attacking them with one type of weapon, they will change to a weapon against it. So you'll have enemies that follow the same rules you do. And here's the thing: you can get disarmed, they can get disarmed. So there's a whole disarming mechanic now in the game, which I'm like, I like this. And you can pick up weapons off the ground too, and find them. Like you can like pick up a spear and just like throw it
As
into
long as
someone.
there's no durability.
They didn't say anything about durability, but they did say that you can get disarmed in combat. Like you can if
Yeah, that's
like
cool.
you're blocking too much and someone just knocks the weapon out of your hand.
Huh.
Um,
Interesting.
but you can do it to them too because if they block too much, you can disarm an enemy. Um,
Hmm.
So good mechanic, and that's the other thing. I like when enemies follow the same rules you do. I don't know why. Maybe this is a me thing, but I think it's personally frustrating when enemies don't have to follow the gameplay rules you do. Hello, Zelda. Um, the bokoblins and moblins, they can shoot you. They have infinite arrows.
Hmm.
They have infinite durability on their weapons. You can disarm them, and they will punch you. Link can do none of these things. Link will always have a finite amount of arrows. He will always have weapon durability, even if it's the same goddamn weapon that enemy's been hitting you with for an hour. You'll pick
Well,
it
that's
up and
why
it'll
it's weak
be
now.
yeah. You could kill him before you could kill the dude could be sitting there eating his food and you kill him and his weapon's next. When you pick up his weapon, that thing is still gonna die in three enemies or whatever. So they don't follow your rules. And when you're completely disarmed, Link just does this, oh, like he reaches behind his head. Oh, what's going on? There's no weapon there. What do I do? And the enemies can throw a fist. Link can't throw a punch in that game. I hate. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
man. Like the I don't know who the combat designer is on Breath of the Wild Tears Kingdom, but a very heartfelt, sincere fuck you from me to you. um,
Well, they're never going to be on the show.
like I don't like it, it's so fucking frustrating when you can't follow the same rules. Like enemies they don't have to follow the same rules as you do. They have
Yeah.
infinite stamina, infinite durability, infinite ammo. They can throw fists when disarmed. You can't do none of that.
You can only headbutt.
You can't even do
It's
that.
it's just Link and he's getting slower and woozier as he goes
I
along
would
until you
almost
find a weapon.
respect that. Like, oh, he's like dumb, but he knows how to throw his head back. And
No one smart does headbutts. That's why no one ever expects it.
yeah, so I guess I'm more excited for Ghost of Yotei just from the fact that they're like new area, new time period. we'll add different mechanics. Of course, you got a wolf, which they still haven't talked much about, which I'm curious more about. Um, they're trying to do this declutter the map menu thing. I don't know if you saw that, where
No,
um
I skipped around a little bit on it.
there's this mechanic, and it wasn't I had to watch a breakdown video to really understand what it's doing. So you can set up a camp anywhere. I thought it was just like preset areas where there's campsites, like in Horizon, but you can
Okay.
set up a camp. And when you're at a camp, travelers will come and like join you at the campfire. And if it's like, say, a merchant you've met before and they have new stock, they'll come to you and offer you a new weapon. And you can actually pick that merchant like on your allies menu and say set up camp, and they'll automatically come to you.
Oh.
So you don't have to fast travel to say where a blacksmith is. You can actually just set up a camp wherever you're standing, and then like they're going to come and they'll talk to you at the campfire, and part of that will be like, hey, I have a new thing for you, would you like to buy it? So basically trying to like declutter like the menu on the map, and declutter like having like double check or fast travel here, there, everywhere to get the
Hmm.
latest stuff. Like if someone has something new to say to you or something new to sell you, they'll come to your campfire. And you can
Huh.
cook. There's a little cooking mechanic which will give you temporary buffs, speed or whatever, I'm sure.
Cooking
um,
mechanics are like, God, they love them.
It's so weird because, like, you get like this fish and it's like skewered on this stick, and you're just like turning it over a fire, like it's like a raw fish or whatever.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
it looks like what it is, so I'm just kind of like, okay, interesting. But yeah, there's like this interesting way of decluttering the open world menu. So like, we're trying to make it seem more natural when like when something's been updated in the world, like a traveler will come and join you at a campfire or something.
I do love that, and I think that's one of the hidden benefits of having a new generation. Like new console generations always mean that they can get rid of artifice.
Mm.
Like obvious, they can declutter the map, or they can have like less obvious loading, that kind of stuff. Like that's, in my opinion, some of the best between generation
Did you see
upgrades.
the cartographer thing they're doing?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
have to take a cartographer's map and then like manually like move it over the world map you've been making and like line it up to sync
Where things have been.
where
Yeah. Yeah.
things
Yeah.
yeah, because he'll draw you a map of where something is, and then you have to like literally like line it up on your own map and be like, oh, okay, this is the area he's talking about.
That's pretty fun.
I like that. I like that. Like for some reason, I like that weird dumb like archaeologist shit. Like
Yeah,
like it
well, because
intrigues me.
we grew up loving Indiana Jones,
Yeah, it's
and
just
the most devastating thing of all is finding out that that job doesn't exist.
yeah.
That's not a real job.
Not at all. It's really boring, actually. You kind of like, and you're really stuck, like looking at like slowly brushing off a pot for months.
Well, archaeology is interesting. My wife actually, like, she did a bunch of classes in archaeology and actually did digs and stuff. That is really interesting. There's no money in it. You do it for short bursts of time, and you pay to be there a lot of the time. So it's just not a job. It's just it's a dream. It sucks. Let's end on a downer.
Which that's kind of sucks. But what did okay? I guess last thing. What did you think graphically? I was like, it looks a little better, but
It looked
mostly
the
like the
same to
first.
me,
Yeah, like
it, which
maybe
is
a little
fine.
better if you like squint, but
Yeah, honestly, it looked the same to me. N- I, but it looked good. It looks good. It's just it looks the same.
it
Um,
does have that issue of like, well, it looks like more Ghost, and I don't think it's a problem. I think it's more of a compliment to the original game,
yeah, the
if
original game is
anything, because
very
I'm just like,
pretty.
well, the original game is very pretty. This is also going to be pretty, I guess. Whatever. Like, they everything they showed was on a vanilla base PS5, not a Pro, um, which might
With
explain some of the framiness, but also makes me sit there to this day and wonder like, why is there a Pro?
our money. Um, yeah, see, I didn't like framiness. Like it wasn't that framey. There wasn't any like super obvious framiness to me. Uh, Although maybe there wasn't. I just assumed it was the
I'm
screen,
sure they
not
were playing it on graphics mode and not on performance, and I'm gonna play that on performance, like
yeah,
straight up.
well,
Like I'm like when I get the game, I'm like, am I gonna play performance or graphics? Performance, eat a dick. Like I don't.
and it also looks really good in performance anyway.
Yeah, like
Oh, well, at least the original, right? The original looked great in performance.
yeah.
I didn't care about. Um, yeah, I don't know. Overall, I'm excited for it. I liked Ghost of Tsushima a lot, but I wasn't like in love with it. It didn't
It's
become,
it's not my top 10 favorite game or anything, but it's
but it's good.
probably in my top 10 PS4 specific games. May probably. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably definitely.
Um,
I think I have said it like straight up. It's definitely like one of my favorite PS4 exclusives.
well, it's one of those. It reminds me of like just a '90s action movie. It's just well done. Like I don't know that I would say that it's my favorite movie or favorite game of all time or anything. Like I don't think it'll ever be my favorite game of all time.
So it's a Roland Emmerich or Michael Bay film in the 90s.
Yeah, it's The Last Boy Scout. It's well done. Are you gonna like say it's the greatest movie that's ever been made? No, but there is some pretty cool shit. Like, but I
I
do
enjoyed
really
it.
like it. I'm excited for it. Um, some people were saying like, oh, it looks more brutal than the first game. I didn't get that.
Not yet, anyways.
Maybe I just don't remember the first game well enough to say that. But like, it doesn't look any more brutal.
No, I don't think so.
So I don't know. Overall, I'm
I
excited for it though.
guess lastly, I would say let's take your most wanted sequel right now, Andrew. Like just
Mm.
whatever game you want the sequel, you would love a sequel to more than anything in the world.
I can't even,
Would
off the top of my head, I can't even think necessarily. I would like a Last of Us 3 just to piss people off, but that's not really because I need another one.
Well,
Story's done.
we could just jump from there. But if they did a Last of Us 3, would you want it to be about Ellie?
No, I could see how it would be about Ellie, but no, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
Honestly,
so you'd want it to be. So you're saying like take a game you love gets a sequel. You probably like. Do you want it to be? Because in my in my fandom circle or whatever, I see people like, oh, I really hope we get to see what happened to the X amount of characters. Say, for me and Xenoblade, I hope to see before we get to see, Rex, living with. I'm like, we're never seeing those characters again. like I tell people, where I'm like, and do I want to see those characters again? And I'm like, no, actually, I don't. I actually don't. Take whatever game it is. I don't really want a sequel with the same characters, even if it's in a new area or whatever. I'm like, oh, this is fine.
well, that's one of my biggest like compliments to RE9 or like the Winters saga in RE is like I was glad we were getting away from the same exact main characters constantly.
Dude, I feel like Ethan is the thing that held RE8 back the most, if anything.
Yeah, they should have just gone to a completely different person. They should have.
Yeah, like trying to tie it to Ethan and Mia and oh, it's my daughter Rose. And it's like, who cares? Like, I'm sorry, Ethan, we never cared about you or Mia.
I would have loved it if it was like if RE8 was just like one of the villagers' children coming back to visit the village after like going away for several years or something, and like it is fucking
Wildly
madness. And
messed
them,
up, yeah.
yeah, and them having to like reconcile their memories of the place as a child and realizing it was wildly messed up when they were a kid and they were sent away for a reason. That kind of thing. Like that would have been really interesting to me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
put a little psychological twist on it.
If we did a Last of Us 3 and we wanted to have those characters involved, like I wouldn't want an Abby or an Ellie main character, but like you could do like a Lev main character, and so those characters still matter to the story, but it is a new person's story.
Like Horizon 3 is going to happen, and it's going to have Aloy.
Yeah,
and it's going to take place somewhere. And I think that's actually going to be. I love Aloy as a character, but I also think that
getting tired.
Horizon 3 would benefit from having a completely different character in like somewhere in like Russia or something. Like Siberia or Kamachka or something or maybe
Yeah, I don't know.
something a
I mean,
little.
how are you going to fight the the Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, or maybe somewhere a little further south, maybe like Mongolia, or maybe more west in St. Petersburg or something.
I don't
Like
know. You have it in friggin' Mexico.
just not Aloy. If it's
Yeah,
Aloy just walking around like well, hello, I'm in Mexico now.
the
It's like
Forbidden South.
the Forbidden South. I mean, I don't know. Well, it is for some people. Um, I don't know. To me, it's just kind of like I feel like they're gonna do that, and Aloy's a fun character, well designed, but I feel
Well,
like
we've
it's
been with her a
gonna.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be a mistake at this point. Like, oh well, her story's not done. I'm like, oh whatever. She like Ayla's gonna go off do something. She's gonna come back to her little wife in L.A. Like, there's. I feel like you could just leave it there with Lance Henrik gone too. I'm sorry, Henrik Reddick.
Reddick.
Sorry, Henrik. Jesus, Lance Reddick. With Lance Reddick passed, I'm like, man, just continuing that story with silence at all is like rough. I know they said I think they said they're going to recast him, but I'm just kind of like, man, maybe just leave this cast of characters to like books or something.
Lance Henriksen is still alive. Hell yeah, good. He was in Aliens. He's in a
Oh,
lot
no,
of stuff.
no, I
Terminator.
know that. Yeah, no, I know, I know.
Yeah.
Classic James Cameron collab actor, but no, like Lance Reddick. With Silence being the most interesting character in that franchise, gone, passed away, and I know they said they're going to recast. I'm like, oh man, I think you should just pick a new cast of characters. I think you should do a first person shooter in the past, like Fall of Reach, this thing.
I mean, that would be fun, but the franchise that I'm most like they need to move on is God of War. There's
Mm,
people already pushing for like, I wonder where Kratos is going to go next. I was like, is Kratos not tired? is Kratos' story not done?
but on the flip side, people are mad when you bring up what if the next game's about Atreus, like an even older, like young adult Atreus going to Egypt or something.
It could be interesting.
People don't like it. People are
Well, they
big
don't like it
mad
because
about it.
he's a child in his first games and stuff. But if he's an adult and he's now
No,
angry,
no, 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 no. It's not Kratos, man. I think people get real attached to their fictional Kratos daddy. Um, there's some weirdness around it where I'm just kind of like, Kratos has had a really good run, especially with the last two games. It'd be fine if we left Kratos alone for the next game. I personally think that. You know what I think game maybe needs to get away from its main character,
hmm,
Halo.
well, yeah. I mean, one of my favorite Halo games is ODST, where there are no Spartans.
There are no Spartans. Yeah, there is some report coming out from the people at Halo Studios, as it's called now, and they say they're absolutely miserable. And the project is miserable to work on for the next
Sick,
Halo game, which is like, well,
sick.
Halo fans can never win apparently. Like
That's great. That's just what you want to hear.
that could be bullshit. That could be total bullshit. Like I have no source on that. I just literally just like it was just like it was just
We're
echoed
all
to me.
miserable. We hate ourselves and you.
It's one of those rumors that like it almost could be, you almost could believe it just because it's a Microsoft production. So
It's just poorly done. We
oh, you
were
mean
gonna.
a Microsoft production is being poorly managed? Go on,
You
like
don't
yeah, how could
say.
that happen?
Halo Studios closing soon. Uh, great note to end on.
I don't know what you do with Halo. Do you know what to do with Halo? I don't know what to do with Halo. Actually, that's a great question. I leave off to anyone listening. What is the best way forward for Halo? And if you say like reboot it, screw you. Like what is the best way? Where was the best way forward for Halo at this point?
I have ideas, but that feels like we'd get into a whole other podcast. If anybody wants an episode of Halo ideas, we'll do a Halo ideas episode.
How to
But
salvage this franchise?
how to course correct on something. It was just like
Yeah,
really gone off the rails. On that note, we have producers to thank. Again, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week was Fettuccini. Thank you, Fettuccini. And
thank you.
our producers for this episode are Dragon Wolf Makoto, Austenite, Cyberknight, Scrunami, Kuroi35, Hyper Viper 8. Oh, sorry, I that is older patron, but LCL Mayhem and Ziggy Z. I have this list memorized because they've been around for so long.
Hell
Thank you
yeah.
guys. I'll catch you next time.
Later, dudes.